Hola a todos, bienvenidos a una nueva edición de este ciclo especial de entrevistas de 100% seguros presentadas por FRISS para conocer un poco más lo que es la prevención del fraude en seguros. Ya tuvimos un panorama global con la última entrevista con el CEO de FRISS y bueno, ahora es el turno de hablar de nuestra región y lo vamos a hacer con el gerente general de FRISS para América Latina, Ralf. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Muchas gracias por tu tiempo, es un placer siempre hablar de seguros, de prevención de fraudes, de lo que es la realidad de FRISS, una empresa con base y origen en Holanda, hoy tiene una presencia global y han puesto el foco en América Latina. Te pregunto justamente eso, ¿por qué Chile y por qué nuestra región?
Hola, buenos días a todos, nice to meet you. Thanks for having me today. Well, why Latin America and why Chile? So let me start with Chile because it's the most compact. I have traveled a lot through Latin America, and before I decided together with our company, of course, to move here. And when I traveled to Chile, it came the closest to, let's say, a city that you can find in Europe or in the Netherlands. And because the impact of moving to a, let's say, completely different continent was a big enough challenge for me personally, and of course for my wife, who also needs to join me now and again. We decided for Chile just because it was so close to what I can see from a, let's say, a little bit more European country, and Chile. They welcomed us as well, right? So it's also like they are happy that we are here, and they are happy to help us fight fraud in the insurance industry. So so that was a choice, and my wife had a big say in it as well, to be honest. So she, without a good support, it's difficult to work hard. So that was let's say, some reasons for Chile. Why Latin America? Because it's, well, first of all, let me say it's a beautiful continent. And let's say South America, middle or Central America, it's a beautiful world. It's a completely different world from what I, as a Dutch or Holland guy, knows. The cultures are completely different. And if you ever want to have a challenge in life, then do something that you don't know. Go there where you have not been before, or what is completely the opposite of what you think you are. So that was personally for me a really good reason to make this move. Now, from a company or commercial or business perspective, there's a huge challenge in Latin America where it comes to having insurance available to everyone. If you look at it from a perspective where in Europe, the availability of insurance to people in Europe and the availability of insurance to people in Latin America, there's a huge gap between those two continents, or the US. But let's take Europe because I come from Europe, and this continent, on the other hand, has a lot of challenges that actually would require you to be insured to battle those challenges when something happens to you. So the need for insurance in Latin America, I would say, is huge, but the availability of insurance in Latin America is far less. And of course, this has to do with economy. This has to do with a lot of factors, legal, and we can name 1,000. But what we come to do in Latin America, which is of course really important, is by reducing the fact that people can commit fraud on insurance. If we can reduce this, then premium can go down, and if premium can go down, more people can have insurance, right? So this is a leverage, a balance that you can take. In addition, fraud is interesting because it has a nice sound to it, and it sounds like something, okay, let's investigate. But 98% of the people are not fraudsters. 99 or 98% of the people just have a claim. And if we are able to give those people a really fast, no touch moment from claim to paying out within 24 hours, then how great is that? How great is it if you work in a rural zone, you have to drive to your office every day. It's a 1 hour drive, but you have an accident. Your car is broken down. You cannot go to the office. The impact that this has on your day-to-day job is huge. And if a company then needs to investigate this for days, weeks, months before they pay you, so you are stuck, then this is, of course, is a problem. And next to fraud, which is something we do really well, we start with a full optimized flow that can make you pay out within a couple of hours, because we check everything digitally. And the challenge here in Latin America is to make that possible, right? So in Europe, it is a little bit easier because the infrastructure is a little bit more advanced. So in Latin America, the reason that we are now here is to make small steps, but many steps. And if you take a lot of small steps, it's a big step in the end as well. So we are here for the big step, but we're doing it in smaller steps than I would like, and that is also because I just have no patience. So that's just me. But it's going really well. Thank you.
Totalmente, pequeños pasos, pero muy firmes, algo muy importante en esta zona. Y aprovecho para preguntarte, Ralf, ¿cuál es la situación que ven ustedes respecto a lo que es el fraude de seguros en América Latina? Ustedes tienen una encuesta propia y por lo que tengo entendido están realizando una nueva, ¿correcto?
Yes, we are. So we don't have the results yet. So I cannot give you, which I would love to do, by the way, so maybe we can do a follow-up on that. Because we're going to have a before and after the COVID situation survey. And this, of course, is super interesting to really see what the impact is on the insurance industry from an insurance fraud perspective. Because that is something that we all see that there's something going on. And with the survey, we can make it more measurable to have that insight. So fraud in Latin America, it is here. Right? I think that's no surprise because it's everywhere. It's not only in Latin America, it's everywhere. What we see in fraud, or what I see in fraud, this is personal experience, is that there's a lot of different types of fraud, which you can balance into, let's say, real, let's say, criminal fraud. People with criminal networks really committing fraud to gain money, to get rich. And you have people that commit fraud because they have to eat. I think the last one, it happens, but it's not what we focus on. If we talk about fraud, we talk about the ones that create an opportunity to commit fraud to get rich and to really hurt the industry from they really want to do that perspective. Other people are forced in a situation. We see both, right? We see both. But you see when there's an economical situation like we see today with COVID, we are the specialist in property and casualty with a huge portfolio in motor, right? So if normally the world is being traveled as much as we can with cars going left and right, and suddenly 50% of the cars are no longer on the road because they are not allowed to travel, because you're not allowed to drive, because you have to stay indoors, then you see a huge drop in claims, right? So we see it's interesting if you take 1 year between now and last year, there's a huge decrease in car claims, which is logical. And now we see an increase in detected fraud because there's more time. And because there's more time available to do investigations, because there's less claims, so pressure, volume, high cycles of claims, they all have an impact. We see more and more fraud cases also from a criminal network kind of perspective, because criminals need to be creative to get money as well in crisis, right? They are not going like, okay, now we don't have, there's a crisis, so let's wait a couple months. No. They will be creative, and this again asks our customers to be really sharp, really pay attention. And this, of course, if you look at the situation, I would say also again over the globe, but also in Latin America, suddenly the insurance industry had to move from a local office to a home office. They had to organize all kinds of things. So the attention on fraud is more difficult if your whole organization is in a complete change. And I must say that the insurance industry has done a really great job in keeping focus, because we can see it in the numbers, right? We can follow the statistics, the trends. And although we see that this has a huge impact in let's say, in your operation, we still see a continued effort to fight fraud as we saw, let's say, 1 year ago. So I can only compliment the industry that even in a time of crisis, we still fight fraud.
Sí, sí, como decís vos, la lucha contra el fraude es un tema muy importante, y más aún en tiempos de crisis, y hoy vivimos una mega crisis global con el COVID-19, así que te pregunto un poco, este contexto de pandemia, ¿cómo está afectando? Tiene un fuerte impacto, obviamente, desde el punto de vista sanitario, desde el punto de vista económico. ¿Qué consecuencias crees que puede tener para el crecimiento del fraude del seguro?
Yes, well, it can have big consequences because of what I said, the movement of the attention. So a lot of people are getting sick. A lot of people pretend to get sick. A lot of people can say they are sick and say they got tested and say that they are positive without anybody knowing, because there's a medical, there's legal, the legal part about medical information. Then again, to send doctors to everybody, it's impossible because you cannot travel. So there's a lot of opportunity to commit fraud due to the crisis. And opportunity is one of the three factors. And if you look at the fraud triangle, so opportunity is a really important one. If there's the opportunity to commit fraud and people want to, then of course these two come together. So we see it's a huge challenge. And yesterday I was in a call from a CQCS Brazil, where there was a talk about life insurance and about fraud in life insurance, because a lot of people have died, more than you would normally have in a normal year, right? Because if in Latin America, in the world, a lot of people have now died that we would not expect in a normal situation. And there I also asked the panelists, like, okay, so do you see something in fraud or in life fraud? And although they don't see it yet, the expectation is there that it will be found there also because of the increase. This is an opportunity again for fraudsters to commit fraud, the real criminal ones, right? And yeah, it's COVID brings a big challenge, and also new, which is really important, fraud schemes, where of course they will, because if you look at everybody's talking about artificial intelligence, really important, but artificial intelligence learns from the past and then adopts. But this is something new for in the future. So you have to be really creative. We, as a company, need to be really creative and think about scenarios that we think can start, and then adjust our models to also compensate that. So that's, for us, the challenge. So not only for the insurance industry itself, the insurers, but for us as, let's say, insurtechs, helping the insurance industry and being part of the insurance industry, it's also a change for us, right? Where we need to make sure that every day we have one thing in mind, and that is what is going to happen tomorrow, and how can we fight that? Which is fun, to be honest. It's a creative process to act like a fraudster, to fight a fraudster. So that's good.
Ralf, recién hacías mención y te referías al concepto de triángulo del fraude, algo que había mencionado Jeroen en la última entrevista, pero me parece muy importante. ¿Me puedes explicar en 2 líneas de qué se trata este concepto?
Yeah, so if you have there has to be the opportunity to commit. So you have a triangle where there's money, opportunity, and the situation, and these three come together. And if that's, let's say you have the ideal situation if all three are there, and people that so you and I both have the opportunity to commit fraud, right? But we don't do it because we don't want to. Because we have a moral situation where we don't need it, or we don't need the money. So I have the opportunity, but I don't need it. But if there's let's say, if the stars are aligned and everything is in the triangle, then people will commit fraud because they need the money, they have the opportunity, and there's a situation that you can do it. And yeah, that's a situation what we always try to prevent.
como dice el dicho, más vale prevenir que curar. Y hablando de eso, te voy a preguntar para terminar esta nota, Ralf, ¿qué futuro están imaginando para lo que es la prevención del fraude luego de que se termine esta tan extensa pandemia? ¿Qué imaginás de cara al futuro?
Yeah, the post-pandemia situation. So everybody is forced to digitalize fast. And that's a really big change in the industry, looking at it at least from a Latin American perspective, because in the Netherlands, my country, almost everything is digital. Right? I don't have to go to any office to do what I need to do. I can do everything digital. But if you have this post situation in Latin America where people are used to sit across someone else to have their insurance policy assigned, or to have a claim, or you have your broker that is helping you to get your insurance done, then of course there's this change where people will start to do everything online. And if you do things online, people change. So I, as a trustworthy person, may find it easier to lie if I work only digital because I am anonymous. And you see that when people are anonymous, they act differently. If I talk to you like this, or I send you a WhatsApp, just something, it's a different way of communication. And you will also see this in the insurance industry. So there's a big opportunity for brokers to adjust to that situation and to start having the virtual world with their customer. So be ready for this because it's going to change. And then, of course, in the fraud situation, we will see a big change because fraudsters will also need to do a lot more on the digital perspective, where they maybe were able to falsify paper, or they were maybe to do, have a lot of manual actions going by talking to people. They now have to also follow the digital flow, which also gives an opportunity to catch them a little bit faster. What we do with our solution is we have at underwriting, so when a policy is created, you can ask questions. And if you ask the right questions in the beginning, you can check this with the claim that's coming on later. And you can validate these questions and answer situations. If you do that on paper, it's far more difficult. But if you have a digital connection to the policy creation and the claim that comes in later, and we can spot the difference in a millisecond, right? We can see, okay, this is strange. You said you are the owner of the car, you're 75 years old, it's a Ferrari, I don't care. But here is a 20-year-old guy, and this is his second accident. We think maybe the 23-year-old is the one driving the car, but on your application, you said it was you. So this is a really simple thing that we can see in a second. We don't make mistakes. I do, but computers don't. Computers do what we tell them to do. So if we have this process right, then every claim in the digital process will be checked in the same way. Because of the fact that I think, as we spoke on earlier, that there will be a hybrid situation going to the office and working from home. I think a lot of people will start to work from home more, so offices can be reduced so you can limit your cost. Of course, this also means something about the trustworthiness of you and me working from home. I can do at my home what I want. And also you have to make sure that people that work from home have the right tooling and the right measures and means and resources to still be able to be on top of the fraud cycle, because it will be there and you have to be sure that you don't miss it. And I think a final thing, which is really important in the world of fraud, is that there will always be fraud. You cannot eliminate 100%. Because the world is not always willing to do that. So I think it's really important that in every country, the legal system is also going to understand this new world, where the legal system is adjusting itself to rules that really fit today's market. You often see that there's that the digitalization and let's say the law, they are in a disbalance, because they are still from 1900, 1950, 1930, 1970, but the world today goes so fast. It's every day there's a challenge. And also the world on criminality and fraud goes really fast. So I think there's a challenge for us all to help our legal systems to adjust to this a little bit faster and better, to catch fraudsters, because in the end, that's what we all want to do.
Bueno, muy claro, Ralf, realmente, como decimos, un desafío muy fuerte que obviamente va mutando día a día y más en estos tiempos de pandemia. Te agradezco mucho tu tiempo y para cerrar te invito a compartir con vos y con toda la audiencia, tal como hicimos también en la última entrevista con Jeroen, un nuevo video de FRISS que forma parte de una campaña internacional, realmente a mi juicio muy motivacional, muy emotivo, porque el seguro no es aburrido, el seguro es algo extraordinario. Lo compartimos. Hasta el próximo.
Dicen que hablar de seguros es aburrido, pero no estamos de acuerdo. Desde que se inventó el seguro, nos permitió mirar hacia adelante. Protegidos por seguros, nos atrevimos a navegar los 7 mares, embarcarnos en nuevas aventuras, ir más rápido. Escalamos el Monte Everest. Apuntamos a las estrellas y llegamos a la luna. Vimos el mundo en todo su esplendor, tanto ayer como hoy. Hoy en día, el seguro nos estimula más que nunca. Apoya a las empresas a crecer y expandirse. Potencia nuevas iniciativas, pequeñas y grandes. Nos permite conducir un vehículo, comprar una casa, contar con la atención médica que necesitamos, viajar por el mundo y hacer nuevos amigos, asumir riesgos, perseguir nuestras metas, vivir nuestras vidas como queremos. El seguro nos permite alcanzar la excelencia. Por eso creemos que hablar de seguros es extraordinario.